Manitoba, where the wildflowers sway. Faith Apiaries works its magic in the light of day. Golden nectar rising, kissed by the prairie sun. A taste so pure, it's like heaven on the tongue. Oh, golden fields of faith, your sweetness never fades. Bees dance on the blossoms in the whispering shade. From hive to jar, a labor of love so true. Manitoba's finest honey, golden through and through. Oh, golden fields of faith, your sweetness never fades. Bees dance on the blossoms in the whispering shade. From hive to jar, a labor of love so true. Manitoba's finest honey, golden through and through. Through the frost and the thaw, through the wind and the rain, faith keeps the hives humming, never bending to the pain. A legacy of patience, a harvest of delight. Every drop a story, every jar shining bright. Oh, golden fields of faith, your sweetness never fades. Bees dance on the blossoms in the whispering shade. From hive to jar, a labor of love so true. Manitoba's finest honey, golden through and through. Oh, golden fields of faith, your sweetness never fades. Bees dance on the blossoms in the whispering shade. From hive to jar, a labor of love so true. Manitoba's finest honey, golden through and through.
Well, sometimes it goes a little bit easier than that. So I'm just loading my warming cabinet with 600 pounds of honey in 50-pound buckets. Warm that up. It'll take a week, and then I'll take that over to my packer and they can pour it into jars. That's a regulatory requirement for selling into retail. I could easily pack that myself, but they have to put it in the jars, and it can be labeled as a retail product that's packed according to CFIA regulations. So yeah, my difficulty here with that second pallet in particular, well, the first one too, but the second one it was more pronounced, was well, firstly, I can't lift that 300-pound pallet at the tip of the forks. The tractor won't lift that much, so I have to lift it up the back of the forks, put it in here, and then slide the forks back on the pallet. The pallets were damp, the pallets were wet. It's a rainy day and the pallets have been outside. So the pallets were not sliding on the forks like they do when they're dry. When they're dry, that's not a big deal. They just slide right off. But I had to manually push them ahead. So yeah, well, I'll open it up again here for you. I know not everybody has watched my channel forever, and you may not have seen this thing. As you could see, I picked it up with that one skid in it, so it's really not that heavy. It's just a box. It's made of 5/8 plywood, I think I made this one out of, and it's actually made out of probably 95% scrap lumber, so it doesn't look like much, but boy, it works nice. I recently added a weather strip seal, and I think that helps a lot to keep the warm air inside. Now it's not that bad if you don't seal it, because it's not a pressurized system, so it's not like it's blowing air out of the system. I have in the bottom, you can see the part at the bottom. It's all 1-inch polystyrene all the way around it, and so the box is inside and the polystyrene's on the outside, and inside there are 4 times 150 watt incandescent bulbs. Those are getting harder to find, so I've put in 150 watt reptile heaters. So I think I have 2 heaters and still 2 bulbs left. And then there's a fan in each side. There's a fan here and there's a fan here. And so each fan blows that warm air up just a register boot you'd find in your house, up here and on this side. So then the warm air comes up kind of on the outside of the thing, and then that is a duct that is volumetrically the same size as the sum of those 2 boots. So that's the same size of airflow, and so that duct goes out the top, down the back, and it comes out in the back of this chamber here. So we get a constant airflow through the thing, just to mitigate hot spots, cold spots. I want that to warm pretty evenly. I don't want to scorch honey, and I don't want honey that's not liquefied when I'm done. I've been using this quite a few years now, and boy, that thing works nice. Again, it's going to take a week to finish, and I'm not going to talk about the temperature. I don't know if you can even see it there, but if you're going to do this kind of thing, you need to experiment with temperature. Some might say, oh, temperature's too hot or whatever, but it's not too hot, because it takes at least 24 hours for it to get up to the set temperature, and then the honey is going to be absorbing heat the whole time, and it's really not that hot. So you need to experiment. I've done a lot of experimentation, and I've ruined a lot of honey by having it too warm and then having to back down. So I have my temperature and my time dialed in, and I keep an eye on, whether there's granulation still in the bottom of the buckets when I'm done, that sort of thing. You could put a temperature probe in the honey if you want. They have now Bluetooth probes that you can use for cooking on the grill. You put that in a steak or a roast, and it'll put up with high temperature for one, and then it'll report to your Bluetooth phone what the temperature is. So you could actually do that. I don't know about the temperature range of these sensors, so you'll want something that's going to run in the range of 30 to 50 C. I would say you're going to want to monitor that range and up. I mean, obviously these probes go a lot higher than that because they're meant for cooking on the grill. Some of you might know that I'm a fan of these little AcuRite sensors. You can see that one says 20 degrees and 73% humidity. I'm not concerned about the humidity, but the 20 degrees I am. So what this does is I can put that in here now. It'll report to my central hub in the house. It actually goes to the system on the internet, and then I can monitor that on my phone to keep an eye on what the ambient temperature is in there. I'm not monitoring the honey temperature. So I actually have alerts set on that as well. So if something goes wrong here and it gets too hot, then it'll alert me that's gotten too hot. I've gotten to use these Pan by Johnson controllers. I really like them. Now, they're not as plug and play as something like an Inkbird, because those you just plug your devices into. This you need to wire it to your system and whatnot. So I've got a master switch here and a pilot light. The pilot light really doesn't tell you anything except the master switch is on, and the controller will turn the heating element on and off, but the fans are on 100% of the time. So I guess that pilot light really means that the system is on and the fans are running. I can hear it, so I guess if you can't hear it, then that pilot light is a good idea. So, and this doesn't latch real tight, but it's certainly tight enough with these little draw catches and it just sits there and it'll get warm over the next few days. And I should be ready to put that in the truck and take it to the packer next Thursday or Friday, somewhere in there, because today is Thursday. I didn't mention that. Being a cool and rainy day, I took the opportunity to go to the apiary and pick up these 14 Nucs that I had made. You may recall in 2024 when I had a very bad winter, a local beekeeper came to my rescue, and he quote lent me some Nucs, and these are some of those returns. He said just bring them back when you can. Very generous, and so that's what I'm doing. So I've got my air conditioner on in the building. It's actually about 20 C in here right now, so that's plenty warm. And I have my air conditioner on, and I have the box fan here just to move the air past the Nucs. I don't want them to be too close together. Certainly don't want them touching. They should sit here just fine until morning when I take them away. So I haven't made much content this week, and it's been a mixed up week. Well, I did do that workshop on Saturday, so I was kind of tired after that, and I didn't do any content on Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday I had to go to Winnipeg, but I came home earlier than expected because we started getting tornado alerts long about 4 o'clock. And I didn't want my wife being here alone during that. And I was very thankful that I did come home because the weather was not too bad when I got home, but it certainly deteriorated over time. Last year, it was wildfires. We had a wildfire came within half a mile of here. And I was over, there's a neighbor over there. I was helping him one day. I couldn't do much, but I was there, moral support and doing what I could. But this year it's the opposite. There's water everywhere. On Monday, this was dry. This was totally dry on Monday. And now there's water everywhere. I'm not complaining though, because we got away way more fortunately than a lot of people in Manitoba. My hometown is a complete wash, it seems. You can't get in and out of there. The highways are washed out. Railways are washed out. Homes are, flooded. The whole town, there was a little town, and the whole town is flooded. So I'll report what happened here, but this is not a complaint because I'm very grateful to my God to keep me safe here, and my wife as well. But we got tired of listening to the tornado alerts after about the 10th one here on Tuesday evening. And I'm thankful that we had connectivity because I was able to watch the real-time radar data online. And I also had a friend in California, Todd, near Fresno, California. He's a bit of a weather nerd, and he knows a lot more about weather than I do. He sat up with me for a long time and explaining what the radar was telling him. And Loma Vista Bee Company is his channel if you want to check out Todd's channel. So it was really kind of funny that I was talking to a few different people online, and they were helping me with what they knew about weather and what they could see on the radar channels, and keeping up to date. And we were right on the edge. This system stretched from here west. It would take me 7 hours to drive at normal speed to the west side of this system. It was that big, very big system, very intense. And we were right on the east edge. If the system had been 5 miles farther west, then we wouldn't have gotten any weather at all. But we did. It kind of came and went. We'd get some rain, and then it would we could see clear sky to the south, but we still got some rain and some wind. There was one point when we thought we were getting a tornado. My weather station, you can kind of just see my my weather station just beyond. I can't see the screen. That the white post there is my weather monitor, and it recorded the wind was coming from this direction, and the wind increased dramatically to 63 kilometers per hour, and within a matter of a couple of minutes, it went like this, complete 360 all the way around direction, and it ended up blowing from this direction again. So I don't know how to interpret that and exactly what happened, but it was nothing good at all. There are homes and towns flooded out west of here. There's a town where we have family, and they received 10 inches of rain in a matter of a few hours that evening. So we sat up until 1 a.m. until we thought we were out of danger, and then went to bed, but the storm lasted most of the night still. It took a long time to clear out, and even yesterday we were getting some thunderstorms and some more rain, and we got more rain today. But it was really, really stressful at times to sit there. And when you can see, thank goodness it stays light very late here this time of year, and when you can see with light in the sky what might be a funnel coming toward you, that's one thing. But then when it's dark and you can't see anything, that's the terrifying part. We do get a lot of tornadoes in this part of the world. It's about the worst thing we get. We get winter storms, we get a lot of snow, we get cold weather, we don't get earthquakes, we don't get tsunamis, not here anyway, but we get tornadoes. So that's what's been going on here. So yesterday was a very difficult day to unwind from that stress and to catch up on the rest that I was lacking. And even today, I slept very well last night, and I'm rested, but I still feel drained. I still feel my world is very mixed up right now, and I don't really know what to do with myself half the time. But so I'm just working on little jobs. I went and got those Nucs, and of course put the honey in the cabinet, as you saw. And I don't know really if I'm going to be able to show you anything else here this week. I've got a skid of dipping here. This skid of dipping stuff. So there's some pallets here. There's those slatted racks that I built. There's the repair parts for the 6-frame poly Nucs in there. So tomorrow I'm heading off to get those dipped, and then I'm also going to deliver those Nucs tomorrow as well. So I'll be away most of the day tomorrow, and there's not any bee work going on anyway. Not in this weather. It's I didn't mention it's like 14 or 15 degrees Celsius here. It's not warm. I'm still in short pants, so don't despair. But it's almost long pants weather. I'm holding out. It's going to get warmer. Yeah, so we just got to start to mow the grass. We leave the grass uncut until the dandelions are done, but then we started cutting it, and we got about a day of cutting in, and then it started to rain. So everything's wet now. Even if the grass is not too wet to cut, there's a lot of water, and I don't want to make muddy ruts. Some people don't mind making muddy ruts in my yard, but I don't care to. I have to deal with that a long time if I do that. So that's just one thing to deal with. So there's a lot to do, but I'm not going to be doing a lot outside right now. It's so soggy. It's very, very soggy out here. All right. This might be it for this week, so I'll wish you a great weekend. And I'll thank you very much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Take care and have fun.